Hello, everyone. Just want to say a quick thank you for clicking onto the video. Please do us a favor and hit that like button, comment, and most importantly of all, please subscribe to the channel. Enough of the chatter. Let's get on with the video. Getting right into it, we're going to start off with the bad. And the bad would include the Dallas Mavericks, who went down at the hands of the Boston Celtics in Boston, 107-89. The Mavericks looked like the lights got a little bit too bright for them.
JV-ish.
They played like they weren't ready. I don't know if the days off just got to be too much and it's rest versus rust at that point. But let's get into it, boys. We'll start with you, Julio. I know you said you watched the entire game. I had to cut it off right around the fourth because the Mavericks they weren't getting it done midway through the fourth. What'd you think about the game, man? What were your initial takeaways from game one?
Man, let me just start by saying that if the Mavs show up for the rest of the series the way that they showed up last night, it's going to be a short series. I hate to say that because we've seen the Mavs, what they're capable of, and the way that they're able to dominate as far as the offensive side of the ball goes in games. But last night, I don't know who the hell showed up. Luka did have an outstanding game. I think he ended up with like 27 points or 29 points.
30.
30 points.
Yes, sir.
My apologies. But 30 points throughout the game. But for the most part, it seemed like he was the only one that was trying. I know that, the rest of the team, Washington, Hardy came on at the very, very end. But for the most part, I didn't see anything from anybody else. I didn't see no support from the rest of the team. It was basically Luka trying to hold his own against the Celtics. And if that's going to be the case moving forward, I mean, it doesn't look to me like they have an answer for anything that the Celtics were putting out there. The Celtics were basically dominating from the beginning. I think at one point they led by damn near 29 points. So,
yep.
It was a very, very rough game to watch, especially if you're a Mavericks fan. Because again, you don't expect that kind of play from the Mavericks. The Mavericks typically, you have Kyrie supporting Luka, you have some of the other players, Hardy, Washington. I forget what the big tall kid's name is, the young rookie
Derek Lively.
Derek Lively, he normally supports a lot, but I didn't see any of that. And as far as the defense goes, man, we were getting torched. I know that I've never seen again, I'm getting right back into basketball again. So I haven't seen basketball games to where people are getting torched from the 3-point line like we were getting torched last night or the other night. So man, it was rough. It was rough to watch. I watched the entire game from the beginning to the end, and it was just an ugly performance by the Mavericks. I hope that they can bounce back. I really, really hope that they bring that same energy that they had at the end of the series against the Wolves back, because that's something that we really, really need. I don't want to lean too much on the whole rust versus rest thing, because for me, it's like, didn't the Celtics finish their last series within 4, and then they had that prolonged rest before they started this series with the Mavericks? So,
but they also started at home.
Yeah, but I mean, still, they had way more rest time than the Mavericks did. The Mavericks didn't really have that much rest. So I don't know if I could use that as an excuse to be like, oh, they're so well rested that we just have that much rust that we weren't able to keep up with the Celtics. I just think that the Mavericks the real Mavericks that we know and that we've seen play throughout the playoff series, it didn't look like that team showed up. It looked like we were lost, like we didn't know how to, prepare or set up plays to be able to defend against the Celtics. It looked like we were lost, plain and simple. And we ended up losing the game because of that. So I really would love to see a turnaround, but if we show up with another performance in Boston again, like we did the other night, it's going to be an early series. And I hate to say that because as a Dallas native, of course, you want your home team to win, but if they show up like that again, it's not going to be pretty. I think that the Celtics will take that really, really, really quick. So that's my take on it.
Man, Julio, thank you, Julio. T, what do you think, man? What were your initial thoughts on game 1 of the NBA Finals?
You need more than Luka to show up. I mean, we got the same amount of time out of Kyrie Irving and less production. He had like 12, 13 points. I think 12 points.
12. Yes, sir.
And then, I mean, you had your role players, bro. But the thing is, they didn't have an answer for what the Celtics did defensively. The one thing I can hang my hat on with the Mavs is that when they lose, Jason Kidd makes adjustments. So I expect to see a different Mavs team the next game. I actually think we win the next game. But it's like I told y'all in the last video, bro, you know, not trying to take anything away from what the Celtics did, but you have to get those guys credit, bro. Like 2-3 years ago, they were in the finals and they would have won if they didn't play the Warriors. So that was a championship ready team right there. And then they have the best all around complete roster, bro. We didn't have an answer for Porzingis. We couldn't do anything with Brown. Like when them guys get it going, bro, Tatum, when they get it going, it's hard to stop. It's just hard to stop. And we know the type of defensive guys that we have on the team. And the Celtics are a well-coached team offensively and defensively. The Mavs has players that plays defense like that's their role. I don't expect to see Luka performing great on defense. I don't expect to see Kyrie performing great on defense. But we do need you to show up some on defense. It may take away from the performance that you give offensively, but we have to find a way to get stops on the Celtics, bro. We couldn't do anything with them guys when we played them. And that, like Julio said, we come out there game 2, and with that same type of energy, with that same type of performance, it's gonna be a sweep.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be a sweep.
Real easy, man. It can definitely swing that way really
quickly.
Jay, what about you, brother?
Well, I think this is what Finley was trying to get across to Luka whenever he was drinking that beer on TV. We're not done. We're not done yet. You still got another team in front of you, so you need to prepare for that. And it showed us we weren't prepared. It's just like, I hate to compare them to the Dallas Cowboys, but whenever we would be so amped up and ready to play someone that we should beat, we end up losing. And I'm not saying we should beat Boston because they have a great squad and they showed that last night. Getting off to a hot start, didn't let up off the gas for anything. Threes galore. I mean, they shot them at will whenever they wanted to.
Yeah.
Us, we couldn't get anything to fall. Seemed like they moved the rim or something happened to where we were just off. Maybe it was we were playing in Boston and just out of our element and we just weren't prepared for the game. Or they were smelling themselves coming off of beating Minnesota, since everybody thought, hey, they ain't gonna beat Minnesota, Ant's the great, this and that, Ant's the new Jordan. They put all that to bed, and then now, we kind of like blew our wad, basically. So hopefully we learn from this loss. And like T said, hopefully Kid makes adjustments to where we can get some wins on the board. And hopefully we can take one in Boston as well. We're going to need that. So, what about you, Joe?
So for me, watching the start of the game, you see Kristaps Porzingis kind of go back in time to his early Knicks days, the days of the unicorn, man. Like you saw what the guy that showed up for Boston last night was a guy that I was excited and hopeful to see when we had him here in Dallas. And he couldn't stay healthy. And it kind of rang true again because he hasn't played basketball in like 38 days is what I think they said last night.
Yep.
So he's got fresh legs. Boston, for the most part, has fresh legs anyway because they didn't play a lot of extended series like the Mavericks did. So you saw a team that was at home, more well rested, had a superstar, one of their considered superstars coming back, and I mean he dominated early, and he everything he threw up just found the target, man. Boston started the game. They hit 7 3-pointers in the first quarter. I was like, damn. And a lot of those looked like prayers, and I was like, there's no way this is sustainable over a 7-game series. They shoot the ball well from 3, but I'm like, a lot of those look like they were just jacked and they were just answered prayers. In the first half, they were 11 of 27 from 3. Boston was, and then ultimately they were 16 of 42. The Mavericks, on the other hand, 7 of 27 for the game from 3. That is terrible for the Mavericks. The Mavericks will live and die by the 3 ball. You saw at one point we had Kleba runs it down the court. He's got a wide open 3, and he stops everything and waits for everybody to catch up so he can throw it back to Luka. I'm like, what are you doing? Shoot the rock. He had a couple of open looks and he passed them up. He made the extra pass. I'm like, you're scared. You're scared. You don't want to
That's
take
his
that
specialty.
shot. Yeah.
That's what he is. He's the spot up jump shooter.
So and would not take
surprising.
the shot. Yeah.
That was surprising.
You see Kyrie 6 of 19, 0 of 5 from 3, bad turnovers, bad handles. That's not something we're used to seeing from Kyrie. He just didn't look comfortable last night, period. And hey, that's okay. Like, the series just started. We have another set of performances like that. Like you guys have already stated, I won't beat that dead horse, but we already know what the outcome's going to be. Between Luka and Kyrie, 42 points. For the Mavericks to be successful, I think I heard a stat that was like they need to have 60 plus points between the two of them. However you want to manage that. But 42, you're definitely not getting the job done.
Nah.
You end up with 89, you're definitely not getting the job done.
Nah.
The defense for Boston swarming. They're chasing down fast breaks, making blocks. I will say there was some bad no calls, like the referees kind of swallowed the whistle for Boston, but we're not going to make that an excuse. It just is what it is. You get a little bit of home court favoritism here and there. But ultimately, the Celtics just dominated offense, defense. They were ready to play. They were defending home court. The crowd was into it from the beginning. And Boston gave them every reason to just stay loud and stay on the Mavericks' ass. They weren't necessarily dogging Kyrie. Everybody kind of anticipated, they're going to boo Kyrie and this and that. I mean, they booed him a little bit, but it wasn't anything aggressive.
Yeah, it wasn't too aggressive, yeah.
But KP coming off the bench, I don't know how much of that we can expect to see. To me, you never know what you're going to get with KP, but if he stays like that, we have problems. Derek Lively, the alleys weren't open last night. I don't know what the hell that was about. They couldn't connect. He had 5 fouls. He was taking dumb fouls. and it just looked like the lights were a little bit too bright for the Mavericks. I do think Jason Kidd's going to get him ready, and I do think that the Mavericks' best bet is to try to split the series with Boston. They're in Boston, and once you get back home, you're going to have to take advantage of that home court, because I think if we take it back to Boston down 2 or 3-1, it's wraps. Like, it's wraps at that point.
Yeah, it's bro. They have no room for error
Nope.
with the Celtics team like they did with Memphis. Like, you could afford to lose. They could have afforded to lose 2 games versus Memphis and still went out and won the series. The difference here with the Celtics, bro, they have length. They have a great brand of basketball that they play. And then they have, like, their players, Holiday, Tatum, Brown, Porzingis. What did he have last night? Like 4 block shots? 3 or 4 block shots? Bro, he was sending everything back, and then Lively, he's not used to being physical, bro.
Yeah.
He just wasn't used to the physicality brand that they played last night. And again, it could be they had enough time off to see what type of game that we play. But when you put it into perspective, bro, we played them, I think, twice in the regular season, and we lost both times. So
it was close, but yes. The big thing for me as well is PJ Washington is your number 3, and he's giving you 14 points. That ain't gonna cut it.
Yep.
Yeah, bro. And then, but your number 2, or you could even say your number 1, Kyrie, you gotta have more than 12 points, like you said, bro. Your 2 stars, they have to put together a 60 to 70 point performance each game to win this series. Unless,
I mean, Kyrie with 2 assists, Luka with 1 assist.
There you go.
That
summed it up right there. That sums it up right there, because what do both of them do? They score and they assist
distribute, bro. They distribute.
Yeah.
And it was just nothing was landing for the Mavericks. It just wasn't. Nothing was connecting. Nothing was hitting the way it should. And to me, I'm just like, hey, you took one on the chin. How do you respond?
I think J Kidd, he makes the adjustments, bro. He will make the necessary adjustments to get them back in the game, in the series.
I agree. So that was the recap of the Mavericks and Celtics. Game 2, I believe, is
Sunday.
Sunday, June 9th at 7 p.m.
Look, let me say something before we move on. You also have to understand that this young team, we only have 2 people that have made the finals on this Mavs team. J Kidd, Kyrie. So we can't beat them up too much. No, you know, the newer guys haven't played that caliber of basketball. Finals caliber of basketball. So let's see what adjustments they make after that game. So
we'll see, man. We'll definitely see.